there have been a string of events that have taken place recently that could be related to what's happened with the charging of Donald Trump. As we discussed on the previous program, we talked about Fannie Willis versus Donald Trump. How does this affect black people? And recently there was a shooting at a Dollar General in Jacksonville, Florida, where a white male went in and executed three black people, two men and one woman who was sitting in her car, fired 11 shots into her vehicle to kill her, and then went in and actually killed two other brothers, young brothers, before committing suicide and killing himself. And we look at the situation when the sister was killed. A lot of times we try to prepare for these attacks, and we try to, keep our head on the swivel and train. But in some cases, you're the person that doesn't get time to react. You're the person that doesn't have a chance to hear the first gunshot. You're the person that doesn't have a chance to run or to flee. So it's unfortunate that this took place, but concurrently behind that happening, we see up in Ambridge, Pennsylvania, where there was a white male who attempted to enter into a church, and he was only rejected from the church. He tried to enter the church with a vest on and was only rejected because they said the service was too full. And the pastor of the church, made a statement saying that if he had come a little bit early, he probably would have been let inside of the church with a shotgun. Now, when he was denied entry, then he pulled his shotgun or flashed his shotgun on two women on the street. But it seems as though, in this situation, the church fortunately didn't allow him in, but it wasn't because they were prepared. It was because they just didn't have enough space left for him. After the Dylan Roof situation that took place in Charleston, South Carolina, you would think that all black churches would be on high alert against protecting against a similar type of attack. That anytime any white person approached the church, they would have their full guard up and make sure that that person didn't have any weapons on them before entering, or anything. As you mentioned, on the African Liberation Media Facebook page, that black people need, we don't need deacons, we need the deacons of self-defense. And I just think that it's discouraging to know in the climate that we're in now that this guy was even almost able to enter the church, knowing what we know in the history of our churches being attacked. In addition to that, in Montgomery, Alabama, there was a neighborhood where some supposedly white men, they don't know who, vandalized these black people's homes, but there were racial epithets, spray painted and graffiti, swastikas and racial slurs that were spray painted on cars and on houses in a black neighborhood. So we see the climate of racism rising, and this plays right into the hands of the people who want this type of attention on a race war. This plays right into their hands. They're going to continue to highlight these stories as much as possible so that the heat stays off for them. But being that you reported on a lot of this, specifically, you made us aware of the situation that happened in Ambridge, Baba Makaru. Do you think that the current climate with the uh, indictments of Donald Trump played a role in any of these attacks?
I think we have to consider the possibility that that some of these, Ryan, the 21-year-old Ryan Paul Meter, and this guy Jeffrey Harris, I forgot how old he was. Was he 39 or whatever? In Pennsylvania, the white supremacists in Montgomery, neo-Nazis or whatever they were, it's certainly a possibility, because what people have to understand is that this is a situation that is in some ways similar to the overthrow of Reconstruction, where you had a group of white people who called themselves the Redeemers. They launched a white redemption campaign. They launched it immediately after losing the Civil War, with the first racial attack, racial violence taking place in Memphis, Tennessee in 1866. Donald Trump is the symbol of white redemption in the United States for people of European descent who think along those lines. And any attack on him, legal or whatever, particularly when 4/5 of the face of the prosecution of Donald Trump is Black, are people of African descent, it's seen as an attack on white redemption. And for the white supremacy dynamic, retaliatory violence has always been therapeutic, because people of African descent are not supposed to be inferior and not capable of doing certain things. And when they do certain things, or they have, have achieved certain positions or been put in certain positions, like, Fannie Willis and Alvin Bragg and others, then it triggers psychological trauma within the white supremacy dynamic, and their reaction to it is a violent response. And so, this was one of the things that I was concerned about, because, if we look at Montgomery, we look at what happened there with the on the dock there at the of the Alabama River in Montgomery, where there was a racial attack on a Black man who was doing his job, and other Black people came to his defense, and one guy used a chair very effectively, and we started getting all of this social media emphasis on a chair. They had Thomas Smith and John Carlos holding up a chair. They had Malcolm X holding up a chair. We had one entertainer released a song that said, she put it to the words of lift every voice, and she called it lift every chair and swing. I mean, so you took a very serious situation. See, this shows the lack of consciousness among African. You didn't see us make it. I mean, obviously we didn't have the social media, but when the Black Panther Party marched into the California Capitol, in Sacramento in 1966, we understood that was a very serious act. It was no joke. People make jokes. They're making a big joke out of it. I mean, everybody's just, going off, the chair. Okay. Yeah. Bring a chair to a gunfight and see what happens. Okay. So we need to take these things serious and understand the context. And I think the context is in many ways similar to Reconstruction, but in some ways it could be similar to antebellum America, antebellum meaning a pre-Civil War. It could be similar to that, but the bottom line is that they are out to redeem what they think they've lost, which African people had nothing to do with. We're not the oligarchs on Wall Street. We didn't create the Rust Belt. We didn't bring opioids into the country. We didn't move all of these jobs to low-cost geographies, to China, put all of these white people out of work. We got right around North Carolina, you see empty building after empty building in Concord, Kannapolis, Lincolnton, Gastonia. We didn't do that. But we've been made the target. We didn't create NAFTA. We didn't originate Roe v. Wade. But these are all of the things that have them upset. And people in the media have been able to manipulate the gullible minds of these white supremacists and direct them towards us. We cannot play into their game. But that's what we did in Montgomery. It was a serious situation. We should have viewed it for what it was. Black people defending themselves. Okay. Now, with as soon as Trump was indicted and took that mugshot, the mugshot was, in my opinion, a signal. What y'all gonna do? Look what this black woman has done to me. What are y'all gonna do? So we can't say we don't have any evidence. Interestingly, almost, and I know you an IT specialist. I don't know. Have you been able to find Palmita's manifesto anywhere? Or are they keeping it under lock and key? I know you found the manifesto. Go ahead, brother.
I haven't tried to search for it yet.
Okay.
It would be interesting.
It would be interesting. I know you found the manifesto from Gendron up in Buffalo. It would be interesting to see what's in that manifesto, because that would give us, some real clues, or maybe some concrete evidence, where his mindset was. We have the writings of Dylan Roof. We have the writings of Gendron, and this guy left the manifesto. Now, this guy in Pennsylvania, appeared to be more of a crackpot, a crackhead, or opioid head, or whatever. But nevertheless, your point is well taken. The brothers and sisters in the Bible study at Mother Emanuel in Charleston, the Church of Denmark Vesey, in 2015, were unsuspecting. They were caught off guard. Nothing gave them a warning that we know of. Now, maybe some of them were, had some concerns. I mean, who is this dude, right? Why are we letting him in, or whatever? But after that, as you said, you have no excuse for not protecting your congregation. We need some deacons for defense. The deacons for defense who protected the civil rights workers. Deacons for defense who protected Mamie Till Mobley in Mississippi when she came down, okay? Who protected, Dr. King and Kwame Ture and Baba Mukasa when they were on the Black Power March in Mississippi in 1966. You got deacons in the church. You got a lot of ex-military people in the church. I mean, when I read that, it was incredulous. The guy could have gotten in if the church hadn't been full.
All right.
I mean, is the guy dressed? I mean, what he had a shotgun. I don't know if it was, a pistol grip pump, or something that, was he wearing a long coat where it was hidden? I mean, I don't understand why our mentality isn't, why aren't we responding consciously to what we see happening? It's like we're living in a dream world. And this, we're making jokes out of things like the chair doesn't help us at all. So, I'm concerned because, this trend, I think, will continue, particularly with these lone wolves. I mean, they don't even have to necessarily. Now, they immediately said Palmita is not part of an organization. How can you determine that so quick? They very quickly said that Micah X. Johnson in Dallas was connected to Black Lives Matter and the Nation of Islam. I mean, just in a matter of seconds. But within a matter of seconds, they say Palmita wasn't connected to anyone. Same thing they said about Ruth and Gendron. Okay, so, but they are connected to the mass-based philosophy of white supremacy. Okay, and they all use the same pattern. They attack soft targets. Now, we have to say that within the context of this, the security guards at Edward Waters University have to be given credit, because I believe Edward Waters, HBCU in Jacksonville, was the target of Palmyra. That's where he parked his car. That's where he was getting out, getting his guns, putting on his ballistic vest. Was approached by the security guards before he was totally ready, jumped in his car and fled to the Dollar General. I believe he intended to walk the campus of Edward Waters and kill young people of African descent. The security guards did a fantastic job. Unfortunately, they were not able to follow him. They did call the police and report it, but by then he had gotten to the Dollar General and, killed 3 of our people. So he let numerous white people out of the store. Same as Gendron didn't shoot white people in the Tops grocery store in Buffalo. So, this is the environment that we are in. And sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what happened, with our sister, the 52-year-old sister that was doing a Uber delivery and pulled up. And the guy fired 11 shots into the car and killed her. She's just going about her day, just doing her job. And boom, here's a madman on the loose, and he's out to kill black people. Her name was 52-year-old Angela Michelle Carr, 19-year-old Anote Joseph A.J. Laguerre, and 29-year-old Gerald Deshaun Gallion were the 3 victims there in Jacksonville. They didn't have a chance. Okay, none of them had a chance. People in the church should have a chance, because you do have a chance to prevent somebody from coming in. If you do diligent in terms of security. But yeah, is it connected? I think so. I think it's from a psychological perspective, I think it's connected. Yes.
Well, you definitely have situations where people, when cowards feel helpless, they create or they commit easy acts of violence.
Mm.
It takes a different type of individual to go attack the person who you really know is responsible for what you feel is your pain and suffering.
Exactly.
Versus taking your emotions out on somebody who has nothing to do with anything in your life. So, all of these acts of violence are against people who have no effect on them. When Michael Xavier Johnson killed those police officers in Dallas, Texas, he went straight to the police. He didn't go murder, 5 random white people.
He didn't go in a white church.
Right. The police are killing my people. I'm going to the police. I know they got guns that they can shoot back, and I'm still going straight at the police. So that just shows you the level of cowardice in, these white supremacists versus, someone who really is fighting for their race and the problem that they see affecting their race.
Yeah, they're not going to the source of their problem. They're not going to the source. They're going to quote unquote soft targets, low hanging fruit. They're driven by the intense hatred that they have learned, from the mass-based philosophy of white supremacy. And you got people like Nero Joe, Crime Bill Joe, New Jim Crow Joe Biden, one of the chief architects of the new Jim Crow, talking about there's no place for white supremacy in the United States. I mean, the hypocrisy of people like him and Ron DeSantis, speaking, to the crowd of people in Jacksonville. You have created the conditions. Mm-hmm. You have helped to create the conditions that have produced these, Dylan Roofs and, Peyton Gendrons and Ryan Palmyra. Okay, you helped to create the conditions. Okay, the Same way as the white supremacists like George Wallace and Ross Barnett created the conditions that made people like Dynamite Bob Chambliss, who helped plant the bomb that blew up the 16th Street Baptist Church, and Edgar Ray Preacher Killen, who organized the killings of the civil rights workers, in Mississippi. So the conditions they create the conditions that led to the massacre in Memphis in 1866, Colfax, Louisiana in 1873, Wilmington, North Carolina, 1898, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1923, 1921, Rosewood, Florida, 1923, Ocoee, Florida, 1920. Okay, these things just don't come out of nowhere. They don't come out of nowhere. So, but in this environment, like I said, the people in the church, in Denmark Visa's church in Charleston, they were just caught totally off guard. Nobody should be caught off guard in a church situation. Okay, it shouldn't happen. Now, the situation with the people in the Dollar General, the people in the Tops grocery store in Buffalo, you just have to hope that he fired several shots at one sister that was running, and maybe she was zigging and zagging or whatever. He missed her. But are there more like that out there? I guarantee you they are. I absolutely guarantee you they are. And they're going after the people who are not responsible for their problems. We are not responsible for their problems. Okay? But the hatred, they're blinded by hatred, and there's no rational thought or anything you can appeal to. I mean, you can't. That's why I see people engaging in conversations with that. No. You need to be thinking, how do I survive? How do I defend myself? I'm not talking to none of them. Okay? So, yeah, that's the situation. We really need to create we need to reestablish the consciousness that we had, during the Black Liberation Movement, from the Black Power March, Baba Mukasa, Kwame Ture, Cleve Sellers, and others, 1966, Dr. King, through the mid the 70s, the Black Panther Party, Rosa Maroon Shows, Black Liberation Army, that we need to recreate that level of consciousness. Black Panther Party for self-defense. Okay? So yeah, that's where we are, brother.
Brothers and sisters, thank you for viewing this program again. Share this content if you like what you hear. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Leave your comments down in the comment section. And definitely subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be updated every time we upload a new video. Until next time, be before Hodier.
Be before Hodier.